Alrighty, everybody. This is our sixth interview now. And here I have the legendary Burak with us. Go ahead and say hello, my friend. Yeah,
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm Burak. I'm excited to be on your show.
yeah. I guess tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of what got you into Catan and how long you've been playing, all that fun, good stuff.
Sure. I've lived in Southern California pretty much my whole life. I was born and raised in Glendale, which is in LA, and then kind of been in Orange County or San Diego County most of my life. Started playing Catan probably about 16, 15 years ago.
Okay.
And I was introduced by a friend who used to live in Silicon Valley. He's a tech guy. He learned about it from other tech guys, and then he moved down here. And then we've got a group of friends that we've been playing ever since. And then tournaments I started playing probably like 7, 8 years ago.
Okay. No, I know that you guys have been pretty actively playing in the LA scene. I was pretty good friends with Atik online. This was the first time we met in person, but um, yeah, I guess how long have you been playing like in LA specifically?
Yeah, I think, that's the only place I've been playing other than the tournaments. And
Yeah.
I've been playing with a close group of friends initially. And then for the past year or so with some of the clubs in LA, Orange County. So yeah, I played with Atik and Anthony and several others that were at this last national for about the past year. And interestingly, I think that came sort of the evolution of my play, because I've been to nationals many times, but just never got to the final table until this past year. And what I thought, my analysis is that I feel like the game changed a lot, or the tournament style changed a lot with COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously an old guy, and I represent maybe
No.
the
Sure.
old school.
Yeah.
And I feel like what COVID did is introduced it online, popularity wise, it skyrocketed. But then the style changed, I think. And then I needed to change too. I needed to evolve. So that's where I reached out to the other clubs and groups, not just the group that I played with, but I needed to learn more of the new style and the tactics, even the vocabulary, I think evolved. So I needed to kind of create a hybrid between old school and new school, and I guess that worked.
Yeah, actually, that would be a great starting question from me. What would you say are the main differences between that older versus newer style? I'm someone that started in 2019, and even I noticed a big shift, like you were saying, with this whole
Mhm.
extortion and non-block kind of
Yeah,
deals. And I used to play in games where nobody would talk during the settlements at all. It was,
yeah.
but kind of a drastic
Yeah, no,
switch.
no, you're absolutely right. I remember like in the original or back many years ago with the Nationals, it'd be like a reunion. We'd see the same group of 50, 60 people, and it was great. It was a lot of fun, but it's the same people. And then you get to know the people and the styles, and it was very, you're absolutely right. Like there wasn't as much of the extortion and the future trades and I'll trade my firstborn for the two sheep that I need to win the game, stuff like that. And then that all changed a few years back. And that's significant. I mean, I think the other thing that's huge is the online play is very different. And I think that's kind of social commentary where you're behind a screen. A lot of people have a different name, and it's different when you're behind a screen or anonymously typing out whatever or threatening to
Oh.
put the robber. Other than looking at somebody in their face and saying, "Hey, do you really want to do that? Hey, can you trade with me instead of so and so? They're about to win the game." The game is different if you can't play on the board the same way, then it makes it much more difficult, I think, for somebody who's only had online experience.
No, absolutely. Would you say that playing a lot more in person, you would have that advantage? I think looking at the online versus over the board players that primarily do one or the other, the online players may have a slight advantage with repetition, with quantity of games, but the over the
Mhm.
board players have slight advantages, I would say, socially. Um,
I absolutely
yeah.
agree. Yeah, I feel that. I think this is not a game where you read the rule book and now you can become a master. I think you really need to master the social game, which is the hardest part. To be honest, it's hard to hurt someone's feelings. It's hard to not tell the full truth, and we're all trying to win, and everyone's trying to manipulate. But I'm a big fan of the game Survivor too, and I feel that's a lot of similarities where you need to make alliances, and then sometimes you need to break those alliances, and everyone's trying to do the same thing. So the social aspect is critically important. Otherwise, it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It really, you have to add these other variables.
Yeah. Um, I'm interested in knowing. I think you played in nationals, what, 5 times? Four
I've been to
times?
nationals six
Six
times,
times.
and
Oh,
I've
wow.
been to semis 4 times.
I believe then that means that you and Andrew have the most top 16 qualifications, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, maybe,
Um,
yeah. I think, yeah, we have a lot of similarities. I think from the times we've been there, we've seen each other, and first time to the final table and played each other. Yeah, yeah.
we just got off a call, or I just got off a call with him about half an hour ago. I think he was 4 or 5 total appearances, but four in top 16, and just seeing you guys make the final table together was really quite a fun accomplishment.
Thank you. It was
Uh,
really exciting. It was really cool because I felt that, yeah, he and I think represent kind of more of the old school, and then we had some of the younger players, and then both of us first time to the final table, I believe, and then also that final table a month ago was very much like East Coast, West Coast, L.A. Orange County versus Boston, New York, and it was really iconic in many ways.
Yeah. One question that I love, or that I've asked every single player, is how do you navigate a game where you know someone on the board and you don't know someone else? I don't know if this has come up for you, where you're good friends with someone already, or you have that pre-existing relationship.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I feel, that's really critical, especially semis and finals. Like the semi was challenging because I was on the table with Atik and another online gamer, and then myself, and then another older guy that I hadn't met before. And so it was difficult because I didn't know, okay, are the younger online guys going to team up, or are they going to battle each other? So I had to kind of see what's going to evolve and find an opportunity. And Atik, I knew, played with him several times. In fact, what's ironic is we have a picture where a month before the finals, it's we're practicing a game. Anthony, me, Atik, and another player, and
Yeah,
the three of us were all in the semis. And yeah, I'm glad we got to play a lot in this past year just to kind of learn the styles. But it's also pros and cons because we don't want to battle each other and hurt each other's feelings, but at the same time, we both want to win.
sure.
And and I know he's a great player, and so how can I get by and get through? And we saw each other afterwards as well. In fact, we played a game a few weeks afterwards with the whole group, and it was great. I mean, we really everybody was of great spirits, and everyone was really congratulatory, and we compared our thoughts, and it was awesome. I mean, he's an awesome player, as were all the people that I played with. Um, and then in the finals, same type of thing as I knew Anthony because he's also from the LA San Diego crowd
Yeah.
and young guy and amazing that he made it so far in his first nationals. Really proud of him. And we played a lot together in the past year too. So kind of learning his style and him learning my style. So yeah, it goes back to your question about the social dynamics is critical. Like knowing someone and not knowing somebody can hurt you, can help you. It's just how you play, and you don't want to, you know, it makes it hard to decide how rough you want to be, and do you want to, monopolize everything, or use a dirty mono, or would you do that if you had to? Those things come up, and they're difficult jobs. It's easy to do that online, but
Right.
it's hard to do that over the board.
I kind of feel that myself, or in the game, and even 30 minutes after the game, I'm so like emotional about it. But then after you kind of, when all the stakes are gone, you kind of lay back a little bit and you're like, oh, I'm glad this happened. But no, I find
Yeah,
myself getting a little overwhelmed from game to game for sure. Um,
yeah.
how did you feel about the changes? The big change was the time clock system. I know that's still a
Mhm.
running prototype, something they're still working with, but kind of wanted your perspective on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame anyone for instituting a timer. I mean, the tournaments got so huge, they became sort of impossible and just went on and on. So timer had to come in, especially at that size. Now, could there be changes to how it's used or applied? Definitely. And I know there have been a lot of suggestions about that. In the end, I was happy with the timer, and I kind of use it to my advantage because I tend to play pretty fast anyways.
Yeah.
And then you use that too socially, is getting people to waste their time and for them to get nervous and make a mistake. So it's added more of a opportunity to kind of use to your advantage too, I think.
Yeah. Um, have you ever played online before, or what is your like experience outside of the over the board? Uh,
Yeah, I played on Colonist a lot, and that's my biggest experience. Sometimes with Discord audio chat, sometimes without. Definitely, I don't play as much online as most people do, and I think I need to. I think I need to continue doing that. But when if I have a choice, I like to play in person and really get to read people and get to know them because I feel like that's a strength that I have.
For the changes with the upcoming season, are you planning on qualifying in LA or California again? Or do you have any, I guess, interest in branching out a little bit to maybe a nearby state or
Yeah, great question. I mean, my intent when I could play again is definitely I want to continue playing in the Masters as I'm allowed to until the Worlds. But in qualifying again, certainly I plan to play in local tournaments. But I love the aspect, especially as I got to know more and more people each year, is playing in other states and other regions. In fact, I've spoken with others about, hey, if I fly out to the East Coast, can we get everybody together and play for a weekend, and vice versa? You guys
yeah.
come out here, and so on. So I'm excited that there seems to be a lot of interest in branching out and doing that.
No, for sure. And the regions is a really interesting concept because maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we've had a very dominant player count from East Coast for a majority of the years over the events. But now it's going to see like splitting in these pies. Uh, Me and I don't know if you've met Ian from Washington, but we're really trying to get more qualifiers running in these states because there's a when they do release that region map, whenever they do finalize it, I believe
Mhm.
half of the states they consider West, we've gotten 0 or 1 tournament in which they're predominantly coming out of California and Washington is basically what the data is showing. Um,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I think it's exciting to see this grow and to get more and more interest because I think that's really the fun part. Is I love going to a tournament and seeing younger and older and every profession
yeah.
and like, hey, I saw you on TV. Are you an actor or you're a professional poker player or you're a teacher or you're this or that? And it's fun. I think it really expands our horizons and expands the community, which is awesome. So yeah, I'm curious how they're going to break down the regionals. But yeah, I expect that people are going to kind of branch out to different markets to play as well.
I love the idea that they said that you could play in, after you win in one local qualifier, you can actually still play in another region's qualifier. Because in
Mhm.
prior seasons, it was you win one qualifier, you can't play in another for that season. Not without
Yeah.
forfeiting your seat at least, but um, the ability, I guess, the flexibility of being able to travel and meet more people, because I think that's the biggest piece of feedback they've received is they don't like the fact that Nationals is cutting to 16 now.
Mhm.
they thought 100 plus was too big, and I agree, but I almost feel like 16 is too small.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I'm kind of excited that we all dream of winning the national. That I'm excited that I won this year,
Yeah.
and I feel that way because it was huge, and I've known a lot of these people over the years, and you get to make these friends. And what was really heartwarming to me is, when I won, and then I can hear a floor away from the hotel when where everybody was watching, hear the cheers and and then when they took us around and brought us into the room and see the eruption of emotions and some people crying and like people that I've known for years like so happy and like I felt like it wasn't so much like people are bitter or anything like that. I think people really seem to be honestly, sincerely excited and happy for me, and it really was heartwarming. I love that community feel and um, just to see the emotion, to see people crying, like I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. This and then when the qualifiers, like you said, if it comes down to um, the top 16 for the national, then it kind of takes a lot of that excitement away because it's such a
Yeah.
small crowd. I know they're trying to do it so they can live stream all four games, and um, and that's great. The production value and all that's going to improve. That's awesome. But I hope we don't lose some of that community feel and that excitement that
Yeah.
that I really felt, and I still replay in my head like that. That was amazing.
No, and that's honestly the big part of why people go. Andrew made the point that having regionals might discourage players. It might have the opposite effect because now people are like,
Mhm.
I have to plan for at least two trips, two tournaments.
Mhm.
The cost of everything is going high. Like I'm all down to change, but I really just hope that we can keep that positive vibe and that community aspect growing. That's a really
Yeah,
big thing for me.
yeah, totally agree.
I guess outside of playing, do you have any long-term, short-term goals for the scene or for the game? Any secret projects you're involved in?
Involved around Catan.
Yeah, or just in general. I mean, if you want to share anything else, no, definitely. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I'm my profession. I'm a physician, and I love what I do. Able to help a lot of people,
yeah.
but I also have a lot of side things that I love to do, like Catan. And years back, I got into pickleball, so playing that and
Okay.
playing in tournaments, and
Yeah.
it's good, healthy sport. Fishing. I've also, through the excitement of my kids, they're like, "Hey, you should boost your social media presence." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Tell me what to do." So we're kind of trying to learn, like the algorithm of how does Instagram work, how does TikTok work,
Yeah.
and what to say, what not to say. So I'm having fun actually trying that out and making videos. The first one was an unboxing of sort of the gift box that Catan Studio sent out. It was really
There was a
fun, and
lot.
so
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, there was a
No,
lot of
I
stuff, so
love
that
that.
was awesome. And then sort of the outpouring from others around the world, like for interviews, and to hear other perspectives and really cool interviews and questions. And that sort of takes me to the next level is okay, how do I prepare for Brazil, for Americas, and then how do I prepare for Worlds,
Yeah.
which I'm super excited about. But we just talked about kind of the dynamics, right? Online versus on the board, but then regional U.S. But then the world is a big place. So how does everybody else play? So I was discussing that with Drew and Ian and some others, and like definitely want to get together and practice and play, and that's why I really want to get together with a lot of these people who've been there and like give me some tips
Inside scoops,
and
right?
exactly, and then prepare and go there and hopefully represent the U.S. best.
No, that's a great answer. And I was actually curious how you were planning on practicing or preparing for that. If you kind of had a plan, I know it's probably months out, like several months out, but um,
Yeah. Well, for as having won, I can't play in nationals and qualifiers until the
right.
world is over. And that's not until 2027 sometime. So that's a long time to not play at that competitive level. I think I'm allowed to play in masters, so I'll continue doing that. Um, And I'm glad that it's gone back to the original game rather than the expansions.
Yes.
So at least that'll give you more tournament style um, uh, competition and
Sure.
fun and excitement. So that'll be great. But in addition to that, I'll continue playing with the local clubs. But I will definitely make an effort, as much as I could afford, to go to other regions and play with other players, and to again challenge myself, but also to talk strategy and learn. That's something that we've really done in the local scene is we would sit and we would sort of analyze the board and talk. Like I know some groups don't like to talk because they're all competing with each other, but we really tried to break down the board, during and even after a game. Like, how would you have done this differently, and how did somebody win? Or we'll play the same board a few times and see how it plays out. So I want to keep doing that and trying to figure out what is the best strategy moving forward. Um, as loving Catan as we all do, every game is different, and you can prepare all you want, and the rolls don't go your way, or you're playing with incredible competitors and they beat you, and that happens.
No, no, for sure. I'm sure you've heard this too, but I believe at Worlds last year they had a silent placement rule. Like that was something
Hmm.
that you actually couldn't negotiate with the other players. So coming from the US experience where we will talk your
Yeah.
ear off, to get a settlement down, it's going to be an interesting shift, I think.
It is. You know what's funny is the group of guys that I play with, the local guys for a long time. We've kept records for like 13 years of every year who wins and who plays first and blah blah blah. And we even made like a belt, championship belt for the year's champion. But the point being is, we create our own house rules, and we've been playing with a timer for years. So that's
Wow.
why I didn't really mind the timer.
Yeah.
And the second thing is we have a rule during placement. There's no talking. If a seven rolls or you turn a knight, there's no talking, and that kind of speeds up the game, but it also stops the extortions and things like that. It makes it really clear cut. So that's what we've been doing for years. And you're right. What I've heard is that in the world, they complain that Americans talk too much and are too manipulative. Um, so that's the trend that I heard. So I think again that's part of reading the board, right? Reading the table, so socially, like you don't want to come across annoying, and you don't want to stay too quiet and let the game go by either. So just finding that right balance.
Yeah, it I used to play in a lot of online leagues back in the day, and the majority of the player base would be split between Europeans and Americans. So the dynamic you would get if you had two and two, um, people play the game very differently, and it really depends on the culture you're from and your present experience with the game. But I think going back to what you said is one of your first statements, it's just about how do you adapt to the environment. You don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to play differently yourself, but I think everyone has to at least acknowledge that players will play how they want to play, or you know,
Yeah,
like how do you adjust to that if there's any
right.
things you need to. But
Kind of a fun analogy that I thought of when people ask me is I feel like a lot of the one of the keys we talked about the social game, but another key is having multiple pathways to
yeah,
victory, right? And reading other people's pathways and blocking them, but maintaining your own pathway. So I liken it to Doctor Strange, and it's sort of like trying to look ahead in the multiverse and what are the dozen ways I can win, but somebody blocks you. Okay, that eliminates that, but I've got other ways. And always making sure that you've got a path to pivot is, I think, also one of the keys. If you can always, make yourself a path. Um, so that's kind of a great nerdy way that I think about it is the Doctor Strange method of
oh yeah,
Catan.
it's in going to that, it's not only about paths that you can win, it's paths of how do I lose this game. That
Right,
was something I was talking a little bit with Andrew on is a lot of people only try to plan for their game, but a lot of times you
right,
need to look at where other players are and what they're doing and kind of adjust accordingly too.
exactly.
Yeah. I guess I would also ask if you could make any change to nationals or to worlds, uh, given that you've played 6 times already. Were Were there any adjustments to the rules, or I guess anything that you would do differently if you were an organizer? It's kind of a
Hmm.
question that I've always asked players to kind of get input on.
Yeah, I think, as we said, I think there needs to be a timer, but it really, I think two issues that need to really be strategically addressed. And I, again, I understand from the broadcast perspective of what they want to do and encourage the growth of the game. But you don't want to lose the culture of the game, what makes it fun either. So timer is going to be there, I'm sure. But um, how do we make sure that it's it's not oppressively difficult
Yeah,
to use it, but it still keeps the game going? So having that banked time, I think, was a good idea. What we didn't know is, okay, in the placement timing, well, what's the punishment if you didn't place in time? You don't get a spot, or
I
it's
don't think
right.
they ever fully clarified. We were making
Right.
jokes that a judge would pick for you, but I don't really see what
Mhm.
else they could have done.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. So the timer, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I like the idea of a base amount of time. I think 90 seconds was fine, and I think having the 10-minute kind of bank time, I think that sort of worked out. And I don't know, in all my games last month that none of them went out, but people got pretty close by the end. So I'm sure they practiced it many times and figure out what is the sweet spot. The other area that I think is always challenging is the interpretation of extortion and the rules and what can you say and what can you not say, and it's still skirted around, right? And people still look at ways to manipulate the rule, which sucks
Oh,
because it takes away the fun of the game.
yeah.
So I don't know if the solution is what we did with our group, and basically you just can't talk.
So
Uh,
I actually agree with you, and I don't know if you've ever met Nabil from Washington, but he also made that suggestion on, hey, when someone flips a knight or when you roll a seven, everybody just stays silent. And
mhm,
um, I don't know if you knew this, but I was definitely one of those people that tried to circumvent the rules because in the final table with Drew, there was a very important sequence where he rolled a seven and he was looking at me and I said verbatim, I know what you're looking for. And then Drew says, are you saying what I think you're saying? And I say yes. And so he makes the block and I already have my card across the table because I know he's
mhm.
tracking my hand.
Yeah.
And that was just like a funny little moment that we had where it was like, I need that card. And I'm like, I know you need my card. um,
It sounds like
yeah.
a Jedi kind of discussion you guys are having.
Yeah. No, but for sure, there was so many like things that we were looking at. Another rule that they changed was showing your cards, and
Mhm,
people were joking that I was part of that reason too, because in semifinals, I would constantly flip my hand every single turn. And part of the reason
mhm.
I did that was I feel like if I'm playing with a strong enough table, they're going to know my hand anyway. But showing my
Right,
hand maybe helps me build that rapport a little bit with that
right.
player because
Yeah.
there's nothing scarier than the unknown of what
Yes,
someone's going to do on their turn or with their actions. But those
that's
were
true.
two changes to the rules that I agreed with, and I wouldn't even mind seeing a silent rule enforced for
Mhm.
robbers. I think that would also speed up the game. But
Yeah, we did it. We did it with three things. One is the knight, the robber, and we also did it with Monopoly.
oh,
We
really?
paused the timer with Monopoly, and we paused the timer with if a seven's rolled and someone's dropping, it's
Yeah.
your turn and you're waiting for people to drop. Like, why should that waste my time? So we pause the time with that. We pause the time with Monopoly. And then there's no talking if you turn a Monopoly. Because again, there goes the manipulation like, hey, he has all of these. And then you're reminding them, like, let them think it out. So um, the no talking, I think that kind of helps because otherwise people are going to keep looking for ways to kind of skirt, which is part of the game still. But um, that helped us kind of speed up our game. Is but again, I don't have. Uh, I'm sure there's a lot of opinions we can take into account, and then see what happens as the community grows.
Yeah. I guess as my final question, if anybody is looking at playing Catan or looking at getting in the tournament scene, what would be your words of wisdom or advice that you'd give them?
Yeah, I would say a nice mix of play online to get the volume, as you said earlier, and then, but definitely find a local club and play with other people live and have conversations. And um, that's the biggest thing. And then work on that social game and finding the multiple pathways. Like in the beginning, the hardest thing is when we first learn the rules, it's, oh, this is my pathway to victory. And then
Yeah,
somebody blocks you. And then you pout and you're like, okay, well, my game's over. And then people get bitter, like in the, beginners. And then they may like just punish somebody the rest of the game, which
right.
ruins the game for everybody. So if you learn as a new player, you want to get into tournaments, as you learn, hey, there's multiple paths, and that's going to be the key. Like, how does somebody like Bo win so many times and everybody knows he's going to win and he still wins? How does that happen? It's because he's awesome and he knows all the different paths, and ourselves learning as well. Like your game last year was great, watching that final table too. And it's that's what makes it magical, is everybody is thinking about 20 different pathways they're playing. This is not checkers, it's not even chess, it's not 3D chess. This is 10D chess.
Yeah.
We are looking at many different multiverses of this game.
Oh. No, I love that. And it goes back to your Doctor Strange, right? So many different ways. Um,
Yeah,
well, hey, I really appreciate your time, and I know I won't see you in an event this year, but maybe in a future Masters event.
absolutely. I appreciate the questions. It was great, and I'd love to get together again anytime. I look forward to, yeah, definitely seeing you at tournaments in the future.
Alrighty. Hey, take care, man. Thank you.